On tonight's programme, 3 children have escaped a devastating fire at this house in Powys, but a number of people are reported to have died. We'll have the latest. Also on the programme, the family of a teenager who died after taking a form of ecstasy say he was a true star. Plus.
I just want to stay with my family right now, just nothing else.
Mohammed fled Syria 4 years ago and now lives in Cardiff. He hopes a petition will stop his deportation. And the sky's the limit for 84-year-old Dilys, who'll be given a special award at tonight's Pride of Britain ceremony.
It's just amazing. I mean, for me of my age, to be looked at and considered at all is just wonderful.
Good evening, I'm Carl Edwards. Several people are tonight believed to have died in a major fire which destroyed a family home in mid-Wales. 3 young children escaped in the early hours of this morning. Our correspondent Richard Morgan is following this developing story for us tonight. So Richard, what more can you tell us?
Well, Carl, an absolutely shocking incident in mid-Wales overnight. Emergency services were called to the remote village of Llangamach, Wales, just after midnight this morning. These are the latest pictures you can see from the scene.
OK, Richard, thank you very much for the update there. But I think now we can actually cross to our correspondent Rupert Evelyn, who is at the scene for us tonight. Rupert, can you describe what you can actually see there?
Well, it's an extremely remote area of Powys, this, and it's pitch black. There is, right now, just in front of me, a police car, in effect, a couple of police officers manning a cordon, the sound of that engine ticking over. But beyond that, it is extremely quiet and really very little to see. I think adding to what Richard has said and what the viewers can see by the pictures that we've shown them tonight is that there is a very complicated investigation that needs to be done here. It will involve specialist people, and I think that is why the police, at this moment, in my conversation with them, aren't willing to really go any further in terms of just the scale of this damage and disaster.
OK, Rupert Evelyn, live at the scene there. Thank you very much for the update tonight. Moving on to other news now, and an absolute star who made people laugh. That's the family's tribute to a 16-year-old boy who's died possibly after reacting to an ecstasy-style pill. Morgan Philip Miller-Smith from Conwy died in the early hours of yesterday morning. It's thought he took a form of ecstasy, and tonight North Wales Police are warning everyone to avoid taking that drug. Rob Shelley reports. Now, allegations of sexual harassment against people in the public eye are now all too common. And today, the First Minister said we must not assume this behaviour is only confined to Westminster. Writing to the presiding officer of the National Assembly, Cadwyn Jones called for an urgent meeting of all parties. Our political editor, Adrian Masters, is with me now in the studio. So, Adrian, the First Minister, he's obviously quite concerned about this. Well, our reporter Megan Boot is following this story and she joins us from Westminster now. So, Megan, what actually happened today in the end? Well, stay with us. There's still plenty more to come, including from the past to the present, how robots are taking over more and more of our jobs.
And if you're making plans for Halloween tomorrow, if you're heading out trick-or-treating, the weather isn't looking too bad. Certainly warmer than it has been today. I'll have a full update later in the programme.
But before all that, it was the biggest boxing night Wales has ever seen. And on Saturday, heavyweight world champion Anthony Joshua delivered on his promise to keep hold of his crown. But it was harder work than expected against Francis Carlos Takam. And the 78,000 strong crowd didn't fail to show the appetite for big nights in Wales either, something that Joshua and his promoters hope can now happen again in the months to come. Here's Nick Hartley.
Cardiff is no stranger to big boxing nights.
Well, Nick's with me in the studio, but on Saturday you were very lucky to actually be there, weren't you?
I was. It was very good.
It was very good. Do you think we're going to see more of this scale of event here in Cardiff?
The one thing local fans would like to see is more Welsh fighters on the card. Perhaps that can be something that will happen next time.
Absolutely, and good for business as a sports reporter as well, I'd imagine.
Absolutely, keeps us going.
Keeps you going. Thanks very much, Nick. Now, robots used to be something we associated with science fiction, a time in the distant future, but our workplaces are now on the cusp of a revolution driven by automation and artificial intelligence. But experts predict hundreds of thousands of Welsh jobs could be at risk as robots perform basic tasks faster and apparently cheaper than people. Our business correspondent Carol Green has been taking a look at the future.
Carol Green, ITV News.
OK, let's get a recap of our top story tonight now. And a number of people are believed to have died after a major blaze at a family home in mid-Wales. We can now cross live to our correspondent Rob Osborne, who is at the scene for us. Rob, what more can you tell us?
Well, you can see from the aerial pictures that we've been playing the intensity of this fire. We can only imagine what it was like here in the early hours of this morning.
The ITV Evening News follows this programme. Here's what's ahead.
And Dilys, the daredevil, who is now the pride of Britain. Well, do join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
And in fact, that is our next story. You heard it here first. A pensioner from Cardiff will tonight be given special recognition at the Daily Mirror Pride of Britain Awards in London for her commitment to helping children with special needs. Dilys Price, who's 85, has built a unique centre to serve children and their families from across the capital. But her fundraising for charity, the Touch Trust, has seen her scale even greater heights because she's actually the oldest woman in the world to skydive and has no intention of hanging up that parachute just yet. Hannah Thomas has more.
Hannah Thomas, ITV News.
Great stuff, Dilys. We'd also like to say good luck, lots of it tonight, to our Welsh finalist in the Fundraiser of the Year award. Nizar Dahan is nominated for the work he's done raising more than £200,000 for good causes around the world. You can catch the Daily Mirror Pride of Britain Awards on ITV. That's next Tuesday, November the 7th. At 8 p.m. Don't miss it. Now, weather-wise, not a bad day today. Plenty of sunshine, but chilly too with the forecast. Here's Manali. And that is Wales at 6. I'll have your late headlines. But for now, thank you for watching and good night.